Aaron Tuttle here for Ferguson Roof Systems. For 43 years, Ferguson Roof Systems has been protecting Oklahoma's homes and businesses with quality roofing services. Their goal was to be the most honest and dependable roofing company in the state, all while providing free services such as lifetime labor warranty and annual inspections. Well, mission accomplished with thousands of client testimonials, an A+ Better Business Bureau rating, and a 5-star rating on Google. Look, the weather gives you enough to worry about, so why worry about who to trust with your roof? Call Ferguson Roof Systems today or find out more at fergusonroofsystems.com.
Hey everybody, just getting some last minute buttons pushed. Don't you love it when I push your buttons? Right now I'm pushing my own buttons, so gotta get everything set up. I'm running a little late today. I had things to do. So thanks for joining me. I'm Meteorologist Aaron Tuttle. You know the drill. We're here because there's some action out there, so there's plenty to talk about weather-wise. And some of you I'm sure had a slippery drive on your morning commute. I did see there were a lot of accidents, and there were some temporary road closures and from semis jamming up the highways and all that kind of stuff. So it's been a mess out there. Of course, the question is that mess going to continue? So you've come to the right place, so we're going to talk all about it and give you the details of what you can expect. So I'm still loading up my graphics here to give you the old Weather Classroom 101 style. By the way, I see you guys already sending me some stars, so I appreciate that. Kyle's in the house with 150, so thank you, brother. Susan also sending me some. Push buttons for stars. I like that. So I appreciate that. That's on Facebook only. If you're on YouTube, you can do the super chat function. I think there's some type of tipping function on there, if I'm not mistaken. I'm more familiar with the Facebook options than I am with the YouTube options. Okay, so let's see. That interesting. So I was trying to get one of my radar programs working, and for some reason, it's saying no. It's got this C++ nonsense going. If you don't know what C++ is, that's just computer lingo talk for trouble. So, whatever. We'll go to plan B. All right, so let me get on with it. Let's start you off with, let's do the sounding first. So this is the balloon sounding that goes up in Norman. And just to show you from this morning, we were very saturated, several thousand feet up in the air, even more so than before. There's one of the programs I was looking for. But that right there, from this point downwards, what caused that freezing rain and freezing drizzle to come down quite heavy in some cases. And then, of course, the surface temperatures are down here at 21 degrees to 20 degrees. Boy, my computer is just pooping today. Seriously, I just lost another program. I wonder if I got a virus. Hold on, let me reload something. Okay, give me just a second. 2 seconds. I'd reboot it too, but I don't know, something's going on. Gremlins. Okay, so anyway, so back to what I was saying. Also in Dallas, let me pull up Dallas sounding real quick. They're kind of in the same boat. So you guys are at 28 over 28, which means that you have the sounding for some freezing rain and freezing drizzle in your neck of the woods. So any event you have from this point forward will cause some slippery spots out there to develop. Now for the rest of this afternoon, we'll start to see some slow improvement, but the heavier precipitation has been down across southern and southeastern Oklahoma, as indicated by the National Weather Service graphic here. Otherwise, freezing drizzle elsewhere across the region. What I was waiting for was the radar here to load up so we could see where the heaviest pockets were. So there's two areas. One is going to be the northeast side of town stretching up the turnpike in this function, even back a little bit down here, so pretty much right along 44. The other is going to be around Paul's Valley to Duncan. That's a secondary highlighted trouble spot. So there's still some heavy rounds of some freezing drizzle out there, some very light freezing rain. Same thing here in southeast Oklahoma, just some freezing rain showers. But these, again, will cause some flash freezing on the roadways if they're not already frozen in your neck of the woods. All right, and then temperatures, of course, they're into the teens to low 20s, hasn't changed, and reports of light freezing drizzle, a lot of these airport observations, and also freezing fog. Okay, so let's take a look at the bigger picture of that for the rest of the state. You can see there's probably going to be some flurries thrown in here in the northwestern part of the state. That's what this elevation signal is here in the radar data. Some of this may not be reaching the ground, but you might see a few flakes out there as a result of it. This stuff here is the freezing drizzle, same thing here. But you can notice a diminishing trend in those gray shadings. That means it's coming to an end. It means dry air starting to wind back out again, and this is starting to diminish. Now there is that little enhanced peak we saw right there on the radar, coming into Paul's Valley here from Duncan, and that stretches back down towards southwest Oklahoma. And they got those little pop-up showers east, and even down in Dallas-Fort Worth, you got a secondary round coming in, a very light one coming in from the west, just a very light glaze with that. But that is the bigger picture of the very, very light precipitation. Sometimes I have to use these different radar views, because what happens is, this is what we call non- or un-QC data. Un-QC data just means unquality controlled, because in the quality control process, the algorithms strip out the lightest echoes because it's often ground clutter. Well, when you have such a very light precipitation event, such as freezing drizzle, the radars will remove that because they think it's ground clutter. So like my weather app, for example, AT's Weather to Go, a lot of times, unless it's coming down heavy, it'll look like there's nothing at all. So in those cases, you have to flip to the velocity product and then watch the velocity move and animate, and that'll give you the idea of, yes, there's precipitation moving by. It's just a limitation that we have in radar structures, but I can always go and find a source somewhere that's got what I want to see. All right, so temperatures out there into the teens and 20s across the state, all the way down to Dallas-Fort Worth. They're at 30 degrees with freezing fog and light freezing drizzle in their neck of the woods. That extends all up in Oklahoma, of course, into southern Missouri. Even southern Kansas have some spots up here. Not too heavy, but definitely enough. And temperatures still into the teens. I mean, there's been a big difference, believe it or not, between Kansas and Oklahoma over the last couple of days as far as temperatures are concerned. I mean, they've been much colder up there overall than we have here, even though we're cold enough as it is. We still got teens out there, and the upper teens at that for most of central Oklahoma. And even down to southeast Oklahoma, the exception of LaFleur, Poteau, somewhere right around there. You guys are barely struggling to stay above freezing, but the rest of us are definitely in it. And the ground temperatures continue to get colder, just by about a degree or so, so these will be no help for us anytime we get more winter precipitation from this point forward. Now the road conditions you can see on my website, AaronTuttleWeather.com, and if we scroll down here, we look at the statewide view. As that thing loads up, severe is located in orange. All right, red would be closed. Well, if you look, there's a lot of orange on the map, right? So that means there's a lot of severe travel restrictions and conditions, aka, icy stuff. And you can look at any one of these little photographs. Like this is, for example, looks like it's from the front end of a snowplow, I'm guessing, but you can see the street that he's driving on has that sheen to it, so it's got that nice little icy coating on it. So you can look at that at any time, real time, across the state. And even here in the metro, things are moving much slower than normal, but at least it's not red. But that's probably a lot of because the traffic is very, very light compared to what it normally is. But you can click on any one of these traffic cameras as long as they're not frozen over the screen, for example. I just clicked on two of them, and they're both frozen over from the mist. Eventually, you might find one that's not a coat of ice. So give you an idea, at least on some of the bridges around town. But anyway, that's on AaronTuttleWeather.com under the data tab. Okay, so let's go to the model data. This Fusion first. This is a chart view, a graph for you, and it just shows the peak of the light precipitation. We still have that secondary round coming late tonight and tomorrow, and this signal is very light. Remember, it's only a couple of hundredths, but that's all it takes. It literally takes 1/100 to cause problems. So it'll be kind of like today, so very light, but still enough to cause problems. And then as we head into the weekend, this signal goes way up for precipitation here as we head on into Saturday. Now the models, of course, are going to be fighting over what to do with that. This particular group has struggling between whether it's going to be sleet, freezing rain, or snow. I think it'll be snow, but we're going to see with time on that. But for the next couple of days, let's say through day 3, there's still going to be a lot of ice developing here in the North Texas, southeastern Arkansas, and then stretching up toward Kentucky and onward from there. So still an ice storm warning in effect once you get east of the state of Oklahoma, and then down in south into Texas. You can't see that. Let me scoot this over. So there's that graphic. You see, this is the scale over here on the right. See that 3/4 of an inch to an inch? That's ice accumulations, and you can see some of those shadings right there in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in North Texas. So you guys, be careful. Very nice storm for this event. And that's not good. Long term, we'll go back to the graphs here for some snow action. This is looking at the American model, and we pull this up just about every day just to see how the trends have been going with this one. And the later trends here, on an average, about 6 inches of snow, with several outliers, including the control run at 9 inches of snow, is Oklahoma City, and then even some ridiculous ones up to 17, 18 inches of snow. I mean, that's just stupid, right? That's Oklahoma City. Tulsa, how's that look? Same idea, same swath. At the bare minimum, we're getting a couple of inches. Southern Oklahoma, what about you guys? Same idea. So even Dallas, let's head down to Dallas. In the extended period into next week, even Dallas getting on the action with those later storm systems, 5 inches to, on an average. Control run, 11 inches. Oh my goodness, you're almost better than Oklahoma City. So Dallas is going to get some fun stuff with this event as well. And temperatures on the extended here in Oklahoma City, we're still looking cold, assuming that the snow happens in buckets. We're in the negative teens here from Sunday through Wednesday. Now the models keep shifting the coldest of the cold. Now earlier, for the longest time, they had Valentine's Day below zero, and they backed off of that because they haven't had as much snow produced on the ground. We talked about how that would change a little bit if the snow wasn't there. But in later runs, it does produce more snow, therefore it drops at overnight low, still colder. But the trend is the same, bottoms out from the weekend on early next week, and then a slow, hopeful warming trend later on. But like I've been saying before, don't trust this stuff out here in the extended. We're in a locked-in cold pattern for a while. And wind chill values, anytime they get down into the teens to 20s, to around minus 30, you get frostbite in about 30 minutes, and that's no fun to deal with if you favor your appendages. And I think most of us would favor our appendages. Okay, so let me head to the model data here, and we'll see what the latest on the table is for timing for the next wave of precipitation. And we'll see how well the models pick it up. Remember, they usually don't pick up freezing drizzle very well, so I'd be surprised, but we'll see what happens. So here it's got the stuff in southeast Oklahoma. Of course, it's got nothing showing up in central, so that's typical. It's just too light. But it does have stuff bubbling up into Dallas, especially heading into the evening hours, picking up in intensity down here. So Dallas, Fort Worth, and northeastern Texas and southeastern Oklahoma is under the gun during the evening hours for more heavier rounds of icing. Now, this only goes out through about 11 o'clock tonight. Let me pick an earlier run of this model, which will take us on further than that in time. So here's midnight onward. We'll head overnight into the early tomorrow morning into lunchtime. Still a lot of freezing rain, looks like, for central Texas and north Texas through Thursday afternoon, so it will not be fun down there. Now the model, interesting a lot, doesn't even pick up the light stuff here, but as I just showed you on that plot, there is a signal there for more of that really, really light stuff. Let's see how it does on the overall accumulation during this period of time, and we'll see how much at least it thinks of the freezing rain element exists. Doesn't do too well with the freezing drizzle, but at least it gets the freezing rain idea. And again, you got the heavy stuff down here south of Dallas into Waco, back out to the hill country, all the way down to just about San Antonio, and out in West Texas, so a pretty good little ice storm going on down there over the next couple of days. Still some decent amounts here, about a quarter inch in Dallas-Fort Worth, and then southeast Oklahoma with some of those higher elevations here in far eastern Oklahoma getting probably up to a quarter of an inch additional on top of whatever you had here for this first time go at it. Now, we'll look at another high-resolution model. We'll see how well it does. It looked a little better than the one we just looked at when we did this last night. It picks up a little heavier out here in eastern Oklahoma, and then down into Dallas-Fort Worth, just on the east side. It's got half an inch of icing accumulation, so a little worse for the wear, but otherwise the same general idea is still on the table as far as the overall path of the heaviest stuff. It will not, neither one of those, we're going to do well with the very, very light stuff here in central Oklahoma. So I still expect a little bit of that. And now last night we had a driver for that of warm air advection, a little phonogenic forcing that kicked in this morning. That's what those color contours you see there on the map. So let's see what happens tonight in that same boundary layer. I bet you they're shifted southward into North Texas. So here we go to, let's see, where are we? that's a no-brainer. It's just always the question is how much, and the timing of how different waves move through is really all you have to focus on. Now, that sounds like something easy, but as you just saw, I showed you 4 different model outputs of Snowfall, and all of them said something different. Now, if I were to pick my favorite, let's go back to this one. Where is it? Not that. Although, it's not bad. I hadn't looked at the ice accumulation from the new American version of our model. The oldest version has been doing really great so far. The new one has been off and on. It's still in beta, so it hasn't run this whole time, so I haven't gotten to see it every day to see how it's performed. But there's quite a bit more ice here in Arkansas and northeast Texas. So quite a bit heavier amounts, half an inch or more. So there you go. Okay, and then now let's go to the snowfall amounts, just because, again, that was fun to look at. I just want to see what 30 inches looks like on the weather map again for Oklahoma. So, I'll tell you what, if you want 30 inches of snow on Facebook, hit that love button like 100 times. I just want to see a flood of love hearts fly up if you want 30 inches of snow. If you do not want 30 inches of snow, hit the I hate this button, and I want to see a bunch of angry faces. So it'll be a challenge. It's going to be a war of angry faces and love hearts. So let me see who's going to win. I'm going to watch this in real time. The love hearts are winning. Oh my goodness, a lot of you guys want 30 inches of snow. Look at that. That's surprising. I got no hate. Where's the snow haters? Oh, there's a snow hater. I'm seeing a couple. There's a couple of snow haters, but oh my goodness, you guys are outnumbered. It's like 1,000 to 1 from the snow lovers to the snow haters. I'm always curious about, what you guys thought, because, I'm a snow lover. But just to see 30 inches of snow on map is fun. Now, is it completely out of the question? Absolutely not. It would be fun to see. And I'll tell you the reason why. We are in a favorable winter pattern. All right. It is a favorable storm track. Okay. The other third, I'm loving all these hearts. The third thing, though, is you have to throw the 10 to 1 ratio out the window. You see this right here, 10 to 1 ratio. A 10 to 1 ratio is the standard generic average snowfall ratio when you're not dealing with dry Arctic air. Big difference. So with the 10 to 1 ratio, we're still looking at 17 inches of snow based off of this model. And that's already absurd, right? The problem is when you get these really dry air masses like this with the Arctic air, you end up with more of a 20 to 1 ratio. And we're going to call that the Kuchera ratio, because this Kuchera is smart enough to adjust based off of that. So assuming a 20 to 1 ratio, that's where you get 30 inches of snow. Now this would be very, very fluffy, dry snow. You couldn't, make a snowball with it. You couldn't build a snowman. It'd blow around, drift everywhere, pile up, 3 feet drifts, that kind of deal. But that's the kind of snow that this would be. 3 feet drifts. It's almost a 3 feet drift as it is. 30 inches. Oh, I would love this. So anyway, I'm getting a little too excited. This is the first time I've seen anything like this, so this is considered an outlier. And some of the other models didn't have anything. So for example, we're gonna go from that outlier to, was it this outlier? Which one was the other outlier on the other end of the spectrum? That was okay. That's very conservative. That was the Canadian long term. Let's go to the UK Met. I think the UK Met was now this is 10 to 1, so we'll have to about double this. So if you double the UK Met, we're 4 inches of snow here in Oklahoma City, and about maybe 6 out here in western Oklahoma. So this would be the other outlier. So we'll double this at a 20 to 1 ratio. So we're either going to get 4 inches of snow in Oklahoma City, or we're going to get 30 inches of snow in Oklahoma City. Now, as a meteorologist, I look at this and go, what, WTF? What am I supposed to do with this? So that's when you rely on the strengths and weaknesses of different models, and then you have to get into the details of the storm tracks and the pattern itself. We already know what the pattern is, but now it's just a question of the dynamics and how they come across individually. So I'm going to now have to look at some storm tracks here. So we'll go in the upper levels of the atmosphere at 500 millibars. We'll look for some help and some guidance there. Oh, nice little upper low that comes in here on Monday during the day and then swings on through. Okay. Center of it kind of lifts into southwest Oklahoma, then central Oklahoma. It's not a closed off low, but it's not bad. It's a pretty strong wave. Got a lot of colors with it, which means a lot of energy and lift. Here's a little ditty that comes by on Sunday south of us. This is on the Canadian. That's why I didn't really do much for us over the weekend. It's too far south. That's why I did more of it in Texas. And then on the weekend itself, on Monday, it's got that big batch of energy moving across, but not a closed low, just an open wave. It's not bad. That'll produce some snow. All right, and the extended one from there, we were stuck in a southwest flow aloft, which means repeated waves of snow through Thursday of next week, and the final trough finally kicks on through and moves out of here and ends the snow. It's an interesting look. All right, now let's go to that 30-incher. Let's go see what the 30-incher is. All right, so there's that first little wave for the weekend on Saturday. Really light energy coming by. It's not going to do much. And then we've got on Monday, pretty decent energy moving through. You see some darker colors on the map. An open wave format on Monday. And then we've got another one coming in here for Wednesday and a Thursday with a closed low. A little bit on the back side of that, right over central Oklahoma. So that's good for snow. Then that moves on out and we dry out there for a while. Here's a quick little system on the 25th of the month that swings through. Deal with that later. All right, let's go back to the older version of the American model. 500 millibars. There's a little system way down south into South Texas. Let's see. Here's a stronger open wave coming through. A lot of energy with it on Monday, and that moves on by. And then more energy kind of eases on through for late Tuesday through Thursday with an open wave, and then more through. Okay. So, from what I've seen, European one, last one, it's all going to depend on if it comes through as more of an open wave or a closed low. We've always known that when it comes to snowfall amounts. Also, the timing as to how long you're underneath the influence of a broad southwest flow event, so you have ripples of energy that come through with little disturbances. So that's another factor. Let's see, there's Monday on the European, some good amounts there. Ought to come out with that. And then it doesn't go far enough yet because the data is still coming in for the one in the middle of next week. We'll have to wait for that one. But overall, I'd say the pattern supports some decent snow and not the 4-inch amount. That's ridiculous. So we're going to throw that one away. So that outlier is thrown away. I'll throw away the other outlier of 30 for now. And I'll keep the ones in between, which is still a foot of snow over a 3-storm period. And that's conservative. So that's what I like. That's what I'm going with, just based off of this here real quick. Taking a quick stab at the model data. That's what I've got for you. I'm excited. I mean, I really dig it. What else can I show you? Anything else? For those of you folks that joined late, we'll show you where the freezing rain and drizzle still resides. Let me put this in motion. So we've got this little thin band that runs from Chandler southwest through 44 corridor, kind of drifting southward and shrinking. So in other words, the heavier round of that freezing drizzle is coming to an end. Down south, though, we do have a heavier round that's moving from Duncan, now moving over Paul's Valley. So what that will do is quickly produce a glaze of ice on the roads, if they even had a chance to dry off to begin with. It'll have to be evaporation of that very, very tiny, thin layer of moisture on the road to allow the roads to improve, which they will. But anytime you get something like this that swings by, it's right back to instant sheet of ice. Here in southeast Oklahoma, it's a popcorn look to it, which means at times you may have nothing, but then this little brief heavy shower will come over, coach you like that, and if you're on the roadway and you're bebopping along, you got no problem, and all of a sudden rain hits your windshield and it's raining out in front of you just for 5 minutes as that shower passes by. What you don't realize is you are now on a solid sheet of ice, and that's how you end up losing control and being in a ditch or flipped over or any other number of horrible things. So you got to be very careful out here in this environment, regardless of where you are, if it's southeast or central Oklahoma. Tulsa, let's go on up to you. Let's see how the drizzle situation is ending, wrapping up, whatever it may be. We were kind of focused there in Oklahoma City. And then we'll also look at southwest Oklahoma, where this is originating from. Let's put this in motion for you guys up in Tulsa. Let's see what we got here. So you still have some patchy areas here, some light freezing drizzle on the north side of town. Probably a little bit of snowflakes mixed in with that too down south. But the heavier stuff for freezing rain accumulations is occurring from Muskogee, North Eufaula through Cherokee County, northern Adair as we head into Fayetteville, Arkansas. So this is going to accumulate to some pretty significant icing accumulations on power lines and trees and whatnot. So there's a higher probability of power outages in, let's say, this part of the state overall. So let's do something like this, all right? Cutting it off here at the border, but it will continue into parts of Arkansas, of course. But just for Oklahoma's intents and purposes, as the higher accumulations of ice occur, just at that borderline, you need a quarter of an inch really of ice or a little bit more to get power outages to happen. So in theory, in most cases, so that would be your favorite area. So McIntosh, Muskogee, Sequoia, Haskell, Adair County, Cherokee County. That's where I would envision most of those occurring over time. And again, Tulsa, you still got some of that light precipitation moving through. See this heavier band is starting to kind of diminish. So you're starting to see some slow improvement there. All right, let's go to southwest Oklahoma. We'll check you guys out toward Lawton, where that little last batch was originating from that was moving through Pauls Valley and Duncan during the last hour. So let's see what you guys look like down here. So we're pulling in the animated data. You know what? And I'll even jump down to Dallas real quick too. I know you guys in Dallas, some of you guys are watching me. Okay, so yeah, this is also shrinking. So you can see how it went from here to now here, right? So the air mass continues to slowly dry out and the heavier rounds moving away. So things are improving down here. Give it another couple of hours and it should be pretty much wrapped up. All right, so let's go down to Dallas and see what's shaking in this part of the neck of the woods. Now you guys are all below freezing as it looks like. Dallas-Fort Worth, the entire Metroplex, I see 30 to 32 degrees down here. So that means your roadways will be fine with the exception of your bridges and overpasses. Those will be the ones you'll have to watch for with your, especially that secondary wave coming in this evening and then overnight to tomorrow morning. This morning I checked in with some of my Dallas peeps and they said, a couple slick spots, but not a big deal. But I think that'll be a far different response tomorrow morning. I think tomorrow morning will be like what we had in Oklahoma City on Monday morning, which was a chaotic mess. All right, I don't see anything heavy. There's some little spatterings here northwest of town showing up. Very, very light passing freezing rain showers. You might have a few little tiny little areas of drizzle here in town, but it's nothing heavy. Very, very light, if anything. So that's some good news for you guys for now. But cold air will continue to sag southward, so it's only going to get worse from here. It doesn't get better. All right, so I've done a round robin. Talked about the latest models for the ice accumulations, where they're focused. We did the snow, where it's focused. Talked about how you don't want to be outdoors any length of time due to the wind chill. Showed you the extended look at temperatures. I didn't tell you the wind chill, but you've heard it before. You hear it again, minus teens, minus 20s, and some people might get a wind chill minus 30 over this extended period of time, and that will lead to frostbite really quick. We've also talked about how you don't want to be on the roads if you don't have to, and if you do, you gotta drive very slow. Anticipate the fact that there will be ice, so when you're bebopping along, any moisture at all you see on the roadways, it will be instant ice. It will not. You will not have the luxury of it just being rain or wet. It will be frozen. Let's see what else. A lot of slip and falls, of course, happen during ice. It's misleading. That black ice, you don't really notice it too well. Concrete can sometimes look dry to you, and in reality, it's slick as snot. So there's a lot of that happens in this event, in this type of event. What else we got? Hey, Larry. Do you have a 3-pound Yorkie that acts like a guard dog? If not, I've got one. Anyway, where was I? Oh yeah, so the other big story will be, of course, when temperatures get down to 15 degrees for a prolonged period, like they've already been in northwest Oklahoma and up around Kansas, we have a tendency to start getting pipes breaking. So in that particular case, you're going to need to make sure that you try to do your best to protect those. If you haven't done already outdoors, you must have been under a rock the last week, but keep those things wrapped. Indoors, open up your cabinets so you let the warm air circulate through. Depending on what kind of pipes you have, you might want to put towels around them, something like that. Most of us probably have, plastic, PVC style. Those can crack versus, like the old copper type, but a lot of that stuff's underground, so those are typically okay. You saw ground temperatures; they're in the mid upper 30s across most of the states. That's not that big of an issue. It's just kind of the stuff that's above ground. If you don't have power, that's a problem. Hopefully, it won't be a situation where that lasts long. If it does, some of the tips were to close off all the rooms. Keep all the heat trapped in one room. Obviously, a generator works great, and there are times we need generators here in Oklahoma for ice storms and tornadoes. Those are two of our main reasons for needing a generator. Keep your blinds and curtains closed to trap in the heat. Put some towels anywhere on the floor. You got some gaps. There's those little things you can do, and dress in multiple layers. If you be outdoors, dress in multiple layers. I know I'm forgetting something. Hey, Jody, if I'm forgetting something, remind me. Because I always do these lives, and I'm going, I meant to talk about that. Because there's so much to talk about. I think I covered it all. Of course, I say that, and I'm going to hang up here in a second. I'm like, I forgot something. But no, I got to go, actually. So it's time to get. But I do appreciate you guys watching, following, liking, sharing. All that's important. Because, listen, I'm telling you right now, I can't stand Facebook anymore because they took away all of my organic reach, which means I've got 135,000 of you, and it only shows like 2,000 of you that I'm even going live. You know how lame that is? And the only way for me to get around that is if I pay them a lot of money. I'm not paying them a lot of money. So, because that's dumb. So, you're going to have to do the whole organic side and try to fight the algorithms and to get word out. So, that means you like and share the video as you're watching it, or even after you're finished watching it. People can watch recap, that kind of deal, and that helps out just to get the word out. And that's it for me. You guys have a great rest of your afternoon. We'll do this again tonight. We'll see what the latest data says, and we'll see if we still got some of those big snow amounts coming our way. Be careful out there. Be safe on the roads if you have to get out this afternoon. I'm sure the travel will improve a little bit, and then probably go downhill again late this evening and tonight. So there will be some hours where you can probably get around town. You just got to be careful once this last bit of precipitation goes away and the ground starts to evaporate off the roadways, the light, thin sheen of precipitation. Okay, we'll talk soon. Bye, everybody.